If I can encourage you to take your seats, please come to the front. It's nice and warm here. We're beginning in 1 minute. We're about to begin. Okay. So I'm happy to welcome you back for the afternoon session. To begin with, we're going to do something a bit different. We'll have a short pitch from Nicoleta, where have I written? Kosovac, sorry, who is program coordinator for Lice Ulice. It's very likely you know what Lice Ulice is. It provides empowerment opportunities for vulnerable people, selling newspapers, vending newspapers on the streets. For the last 8 years, they've provided people with opportunities to develop. Unfortunately, 80% of the people that work with Lice Ulice are men due to risks of working on the street. So they've decided to do something about that, and Nicoleta will be telling you all about that right now.
Hello. Oh, okay. I'm Nicoleta, and I will tell you more about our campaign. As you already heard, you probably didn't know that 80% of our vendors are men. When you're in streets, when you don't have roof over your head, living on the margins of society, it's difficult. But when you're a woman, then it's much harder. That's why we decided to try to find another way to help our women beneficiaries, because for many of them it's very difficult to go out in street, to work in streets, like they don't feel safe enough out there. That's why we decided to start with a new program, and that's why we started our first online crowdfunding campaign on platform donacije.rs. We are fundraising 500,000 dinars that will help us to train, motivate, encourage, and employ 10 women until the end of this year on all the works, on all the jobs regarding the subscription on the magazine. So this is also first reward, blah blah. What's the expression? I'm not sure. Reward-based campaign on this platform. So for every donation, you will get something as our way to thank you. You will get some number of our issues. So this campaign and your donations will help us to raise our numbers of all the issues that we are packing and sending on daily basis for 150%. So more the magazines are being packed and sent, more women we will be able to support. So this campaign lasts for 10 days already, and we raised around 20%. It will last for 19 days more, so now you can help us to raise this percent for I don't know how much, we will see after the end of this event. You can find more information about the whole campaign, stories of our great women on our campaign page on Donacije.rs. Lice Ulice, and if you have any questions about the campaign or anything else regarding Lice Ulice, I will be here until the end of the day. Thank you, and go to donacije.rs.
So you can support the campaign at donacije.rs. We obviously encourage you to do that. So the next panel, starting this afternoon's program, will be led by moderator Dima Shok from Bredotto. Also in the panel, we have Mario Milakovic from Sopa Baka, who won last year's pitching session at the convention, so we'll hope to learn about what's happened since then. Daniel Martinovic, who is behind the My Rainbow Family LGBT rights child's picture book in Croatia, super interesting. Nebojša Matic from Micro Electronica, which has got a new product, Hexiware, which we're looking forward to hearing about. Christina Lausch, who is a campaigner for Fierce Women and has a history working with organizations such as UNICEF and UNDP, so we'll be interested to see how she's translating those experiences into crowdfunding. And Milos Ilic, campaigner, designer, globetrotter. Looking forward to hearing about your bag, which you have with us to show. So without that, please take it away.
For the introduction, and once again I wish you all a warm welcome back after the lunch. One request for the beginning, please do come and sit closer. I mean, already we had a lot of chance to hear about the crowdfunding in Serbia, in the region, and in Europe as well. But this is the first panel, which I would call a panel of blood, sweat, and tears. So this is down to the earth, people who actually did their crowdfunding campaigns, who have more or less experience, and who really know what it takes to do a reward-based campaign. On top of that, we already heard that we have different types, at least 3 types of reward-based crowdfunding campaigns, and I think we have it all covered here. We have SMEs and we have NGOs. We have products and we have causes. So we have different stories and different approaches, and the main thing that brings them all together is reward-based crowdfunding, which is still the dominant way of doing crowdfunding in this part of Europe. So maybe for the beginning I would like to ask you to give us a short introduction about what is your campaign all about and what was the motivation for you to use crowdfunding for your cause. Thanks.
Hi. Hello. Our campaign, well, let me show you what our product is so I don't have to explain it. It's something like that. It's actually very light as a product, and it weighs around only 400 grams. But what's really important about that is that every artwork that goes onto these bags is created by a number of artists from around the world, and it's co-created. Not only artists in the sense of like illustrators or painters, but also like photographers, fine artists, writers, and so on. So our social impact, in a way, is threefold. We have something we like to call like fair share principle, where every artist is getting share of every sold piece, right? The second thing is that we're actually, through doing this, as you can see, it's slightly oversized. So when it's out on the street, it's actually a little walking billboard that actually promotes arts and artists that are contributing. And obviously we are creating it here in Serbia, which is not an easy thing to do. But it's good. It feels like we're starting something, and we have like craftsmen who are working on it. And in a way, it's helping their part of the industry like achieve something or be something part of something bigger overall. So all those, in a way, are small bits and bobs of motivation for us to do it.
Thank you for the beginning. Please, Christina, can you tell us something about your experience in the Fierce Women campaign?
Hi everybody. So Fierce Women is a social game that promotes and inspires great contributions of women throughout the history. It's basically a very simple game. It consists of 60 cards that represent women from different fields like culture, science, art, and so on, which have made some kind of significant contribution through their work. And there are also 10 action cards in the game. So basically, when you combine them, you get a very simple and easily comprehensible game that can be played by different generations. And what is also very important about the game is that it has this educational component. So each card also contains a short biography of each woman. So when you play, you also kind of get to learn about these women and their work. This game is the first social game dedicated to women in Croatia, and I think also in the region. And the game is basically has been created by the NGO Common Zone. It's an NGO that is very famous in the field of gender equality and independent culture in Croatia. It is most known for their portal called Vox Femina. It's a media site basically that deals with these topics. And the portal has a section called Fierce Women, where they have texts about different kind of women, and this basically section is the most popular section on the site, and from that the idea for the game came. Also, I mean, since they are an NGO, the important part of the story is that they also wanted to somehow not rely that much on project-based financing, but also kind of to become more sustainable. So that's, this product is basically their first product of a social enterprise in becoming, through which they are going to continue their work and also support women in culture and in other areas as well. And I'm basically an extended hand of the team. I was working on development and conduction of their whole crowdfunding campaign.
Okay, thank you very much. What about you, Nebus? What is your experience in crowdfunding? Why did you use crowdfunding for your development of your product?
Okay, first, thank you for inviting me. As you know, we are the company. So our motive is not financial. Our motive is marketing. So it is basically strictly business. I think we ask 20,000 and we get 45, something like that. So, and actually we didn't know even those 20,000. So it's just a marketing. And Hexiver, I will tell only in short. Hexiver is a IoT wearable platform which you could use to make, I don't know, any of your IoT idea. So it's not only that you could wear it as a watch or I don't know, as a Internet of Things node or something. You could also expand it with other sensors which we have on clipboards, etc. So strictly business, it's just a marketing for us. So, and what I could say, it's kind of successful. So we kind of have a lot of attention. And 2016, we won 3 prizes from 6 prizes on ARM Tech conference in San Diego. So it's basically like we won an Oscar if we are making a movies. So it was pretty successful, I have to say.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. And what about you, Daniel? Maybe you're the most experienced serial crowdfunder here. So you use this tool for a number of times. So what can you tell us maybe about the last or the last couple of crowdfunding campaigns? What was your motivation and why do you actually use crowdfunding for supporting your cause? Thanks.
Hi everybody. So we use crowdfunding campaigns in different NGOs mostly so that we also can give in some way to the public this feeling that they are supporting our causes, because we have used it for different reasons. We have used it to support pride marches in Zagreb, to support protests for a better education, to support people going to various conventions and so on, but in a way that also can then get more people involved, because we get, I don't know, mails, messages from people that would like to help in some way, and then we see crowdfunding as a way that we can easily make this contribution from the general public available to like a larger audience. in some cases. In other cases, such as was the question with the picture book, it's an easy way to provide the public, to the citizens, to something that they're asking for, but that we as an NGO don't have the resources, so we should wait too much for like some project to go on and to pass and so on. So it's like a faster way of funding that unfortunately has gone well so far. So.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last but not the least, Mario, what about Super Baki project? How did you come about using crowdfunding for supporting the development of your startup?
Well, for me, it was kind of like I came to the same convention last year, and I just had this idea of how I would like to gather a group of senior ladies. So they bake cakes, and then in that way they socialize on one side, and on the other side they make some extra money on the pensions we all know are really tiny. So it was just an idea, and there was no budget. There was like a small group of ladies, and I thought like that crowdfunding would be a good kickoff, because we're gonna raise certain amount of money. We knew it cannot be huge amount, like just like a decent amount, so we can equip the kitchen and start it. On one side, on the other, like our whole story is about the community and solidarity and empathy. So it was like a great way for us to gather the community together and to reach out to people, actually to let them know that we exist. And in a sense also in something that we are growing social enterprise, it was a great point of branding. So for us, really crowdfunding campaign did so much good on so many different levels. And yeah.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. The next question for you, Milos, would be, so you used Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And we know that Kickstarter has certain differences when compared to, let's say, Indiegogo or other dominant platform in Southeast Europe region. So why did you use Kickstarter, and what did you learn from it?
Well, it's easy. We use Kickstarter because it's the biggest. We were thinking for a few moments whether to use Indiegogo first or Kickstarter, especially because there is a more even split on Indiegogo in terms of male-female split. On Kickstarter is, I think, like 30% of female audience and 70% male audience. But we realized that we cannot use Indiegogo and then go on Kickstarter, where if you use Kickstarter first, then yeah, you can switch back to Indiegogo later on. So, and also the numbers, the sheer numbers. It's, I think, 29 million versus 9 million in favor of Kickstarter, which is, I think, speaks for itself. So, yeah, those were very tangible reasons to use Kickstarter. Although I must say, when it comes to proactiveness, Indiegogo came across as more proactive and like getting in touch with us and so on. I guess because of its size, Kickstarter cannot afford to do that. So there are pros and cons for both.
Thank you for now. What about you, Christina? What, from your own opinion, what did you want to achieve with the campaign? Was it more about the visibility or about the funds or maybe something else?
Well, it was definitely both. I mean, it wasn't like one or the other. Basically why the campaign was done, I mean, we needed the money for 1,000 packs of cards so we can start a commercial distribution so the enterprise can start operating. So definitely we needed the money, but this is also a product that was launched for the first time. So the visibility aspect also had a really important role in it. And during the campaign, I think this is both, I think, goals have been achieved. So we managed to reach the money that we were targeting, but we also gained quite a lot of visibility, both in media and both among the community that we wanted to reach. So yeah, I think both was done that was intended. Yeah.
Just another short sub-question. Was it all good visibility or there was a negative visibility? What were the reflections of the wider society?
Well, it was definitely all good visibility. The comments on the game and on the idea itself were very, very good. Both among the community that the Common Zone and the NGO already had. I mean, they already had quite an ecosystem of people who were there to support them, since they exist for quite some time, and they collaborated with quite a lot of people. So, first of all, they were very eager to support them. This is the first time that they were actually asking money publicly for something, so it was like, okay, we are definitely going to support them. But then also the wider audience, they were really fascinated by the idea. We also, after the campaign, did interviewing with a lot of people who bought the cards, so basically with the campaign backers. And we explicitly wanted to talk with people who haven't heard of the Common Zone before or didn't have anything to do with the team, just to see what were their impressions, why did they decide to buy the game, what was their first instinct. And a lot of people just said that they instantly, when they saw the product, I'm going to get it. You know, they weren't thinking a lot about it. They just really liked the product. So it wasn't that difficult.
Thank you very much. And one question for you, Nebojša. What was the importance of the campaign for your further work? I mean, for your company and for the market. Did it have a positive effect on development of the market and maybe on your own products that you plan to develop in the future or you plan to position on the market?
It doesn't have negative impact, that's for sure. So is there a positive impact? I guess. So because we are a 17-year-old company, so we are on the market for a long time. And for us it was just, we want to try something, and it was okay. So what we learned there, maybe I should share with you guys, because I guess you listen to us because you want to start some campaign or something like that. So what I learned there is you have to be non-stop in contact with your customers, your buyers, etc., etc. So you have to treat them pretty nicely even after you finish your campaign. So what will going to be with that product after the campaign is also depending on your decisions. So if you stop to push that product on the market, then the product will go down, as any product. So it doesn't have to be, any electronic product. So that's what we learn from our experience. And also we learn, if you do it right, you could, raise as much money as you want. So there is no limit for money. So the question is how much effort you will put in that campaign, and how good you will finish your product, etc. It's interesting that today, when I was coming here, I received an email from another Kickstarter company, the company who use Kickstarter for project Open Rove. It's actually the small submarine, so you could, explore some caves, underwater caves, and etc. I buy that 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago, in Rome, and they promised me they will deliver it in 1 week. So 1 week was actually 3 years. But they will constantly in contact with me. And what is the funny thing is, you can't be angry on them, because they send you email like this. We lie to you so many times when we will deliver your product that we will not lie to you now, because we respect you a lot. So, and when you read this email, you know what to say. So, and actually they lie to me 3 years, and if you notice, I'm not angry on them. So just imagine that someone lies to you 3 years for something. So even if you lie, and even if you are kind of delay your product, whatever you do, you have to be in constant contact with your support, backers. So you have to be non-stop with them. And they will kind of, I don't know, forgive everything what you say after they receive the product, and you know. And when we deliver our product, Hexiver, on time, everyone was so kind of surprised. So first you deliver it, and you deliver it on time. So you know what's wrong with you. So in that case, it was again business behind that idea, and I just want to underline, it is pure marketing.
Excellent, thank you. And maybe we can connect this to Daniel's story. So this is business and primarily marketing. What about the NGOs? What is the baseline for using crowdfunding for NGOs? How does it become feasible for you? How does it pay out, if you understand my question?
Well, I mean, in a main scope, it raises your visibility for certain, because you, in many ways, with your activities, you're always speaking to the same audience. And then the crowdfunding platforms and the media exposure that you get from that kind of widens your audience to maybe somebody that you couldn't reach before. And you also give, again, as I said, the opportunity to somebody that doesn't know how to back you, that doesn't have time to volunteer, that doesn't have time to get involved in your activities, to feel like they have contributed something to your cause, and then they feel like a part of this cause. So it's really, I think, mainly for us, it's a way of connecting with a much larger circle that we could usually do with the things that we do on a regular basis. So crowdfunding gives us a good way to spread the message and also to have people support you.
Okay, thank you. And one more question for you, Mario. So you used crowdfunding in the startup period of your company, and can you shortly describe in what ways did it help development of the?
Well, it meant us everything, because like we were just an idea, and apart from having a successful campaign at the end of the day, we gathered the huge community, because our goal is to open a cake shop in the downtown of Belgrade. So these people tomorrow are going to be our customers, so that means a lot to us. And also, apart from this whole media attention and PR and everything that happened, another amazing thing that I really couldn't really anticipate when we were building when we were planning the campaign is the response of the future senior ladies who are now super baki, who are part of the team, who actually heard of us because of the campaign. Because we started with one small amount of ladies, there were 5, 6 of them, and now there are 23 of them, and none of them would actually be part of this story and of the social enterprise if there wasn't a crowdfunding campaign. So that's like another thing that was very valuable from doing the campaign itself.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from the audience at this stage? Is there anybody out here thinking about starting their own crowdfunding campaign? Okay, then you must have some kind of question. Please do.
Is it sometimes prime that you start a campaign from Serbia? Is it a problem for backers? And is campaign from Serbia takes a smaller amount of money than campaign from USA?
Maybe if I got this question right, so maybe somebody from Serbia can give.
Kind of relevant.
Yeah.
That,
Please do.
yeah, well, everything is more difficult from Serbia. Crowdfunding included. First of all, for Kickstarter, you have to have a proxy, somebody from civilized world who's going to represent you out there. But that's an easy part. Then here you have to kind of fight with Loads of issues, I think merely to get your product right. If we were producing this same product in America, I think that would have been much easier. Here you really have to be very focused on every detail of production to make sure that your demo product is tip-top so you can actually offer it further. Yeah. And then next to that is all the issues with our postal services and all that. It's fun. You can definitely make a film around that. And we're still not certain about all ins and outs of financial aspects of what we do. Because, and quite often people are not, either not willing or they simply don't know how to give an answer to certain questions, like PDV questions, right? Like, is there going to be some return when you do the export and so on and so forth? So, yeah, it's similar to driving on streets of Belgrade. Yeah, you don't have to just, take care of the other cars, but also bumps in the road and stuff like that. So you have to be prepared for that. But it's worth it if you're thinking about it. And also, the second part of it is that everything is so underdeveloped that whatever you do, it actually creates a significant impact. Yeah, so it's sweeter that way, in a way. Was there any other part of the question that I didn't get? Yeah? All right.
So we had another question, maybe? Did we have another question at this stage, no? You're just being afraid.
I'm not sure if I forgot something or not.
If anybody's not confident to ask a question in English, they can ask me, and then I will ask the panel. So don't feel afraid.
Yeah. So if the language is the barrier, please use Serbian, and we'll translate it. No problem. Okay, we have. Okay, please.
I'll speak in English.
Thanks.
Have any of the campaigns? Did any of the campaigns use paid for consulting services as part of the effort to raise funds? Because those services are there, and so then if you did you find them to be advantageous to you versus trying to do it all by yourself?
Thank you for the question. Maybe we can all.
Yeah, I would like to start on that.
Yes.
Because I promised to one guy who presents himself as PR specialist for crowdfunding. He insisted in being paid in advance, so we did that. Apparently his experience in PR was phenomenal for crowdfunding and so on. So we did pay him gullibly, right? And he actually didn't do anything for us. Absolutely nothing. He just basically stole our money. And being that you're on another planet here, you cannot do anything, really. There's very limiting that feeling of that, you cannot even reach to the guy and do something physically to him. No, I'm joking. But seriously, I mean, you're here in a completely different economy, completely different legal entity. So if you're going for something like that, it's worth really doing a very, very proper research on who are you working with. And I would imagine if I'm to do it again, I would probably do it to personal contacts rather than through, I don't know, through Google or something like that. Yeah, that guy's name is Patrick Calderon, so don't use him. I wish I made a T-shirt.
He's not here,
with
is he?
that. But, yeah.
And what about you, Christina? So you play a role of a consultant, actually?
Actually, I was paid to do the campaign, yeah. So that was basically my role in the whole story, to help the team to prepare and conduct the entire campaign. I actually came into the story about 2 months before the campaign was launched, and when I came to the story, already the field was settled to some extent, so they were very motivated and very diligent team, which was very keen on making it happen, and they were really ready to do everything that they wanted that was necessary. So they also went to the crowdfunding workshops, they talked to people who did crowdfunding campaigns earlier and so on, but they still sensed that there might be something that they were lacking, some really first-hand experience in the whole story. And so they hired me, and I helped them basically to polish the elements of the campaign and focus the story and maybe strategically set some aspects of it. And also important part of it was during the process of the campaign, I've helped them basically when some things stopped, when donations stopped coming, I helped them make maybe assumptions why that was happening and what was necessary to do next in order to start getting the money again. But I have to say that besides my services, they also use services of other people. And I think that basically as a team, they really wanted to give credit and also acknowledge other people who have skills in other fields that maybe they know something about, but know that they don't know everything about. So they really were eager to pay designer, videographer, whoever it was necessary in order to make them. It's not that they had like, I don't know, a crazy budget, and you really don't have to have a crazy budget in order to create a campaign. But they made the arrangements with people that they thought it was really necessary for them to, you know, the parts that they couldn't cover, and they were a big team, it was 8 people in the team. So the parts that they couldn't cover, they actually hired people who helped them, and it worked.
Okay, thank you. Any other experiences?
I say something. You should not be afraid to do it by yourself. You know, you will not live forever. So just do whatever you want to do. If you don't have a experienced copywriter, write your own words. So, you know, if you notice, my English is not perfect, but I don't care. So I'm not linguist, I'm just a CEO. So, and then if you don't know how to use Photoshop, please use your pen and then take a picture of that, what you wrote on the paper. So the expression is the most important. What you will say to those guys, why they should back up you in this matter. So, and that's your own words. Nobody could wrote those words better than you. So just don't afraid. That's it.
So, well, in some campaigns we use the services of consultants. We also use Christina in some campaigns, so I really recommend her for her services. If you need any future campaigns or whatever, I hope that she has some business cards that she can give out after this. But anyhow, jokes aside, really, I think it helps you also when you have like a team of people that think that they know what they're doing, to have somebody from the outside that is like coordinating you and telling you and giving you maybe another perspective on what you're doing, if it is okay, if it is not okay, from somebody that has experience. Because in my experience, we had some campaigns where people really thought they knew what we were doing, but in the long run, those things proved that they didn't have any basis. So I think having somebody from the outside, it's really helpful to give you like a third view perspective, and also pay them a percentage, not a fixed fee in the beginning. So just after, if the campaign is successful, pay them a percentage. So that's also a hint we'd like to share. And what about you, Mario? Did you use any external help?
Well, we were lucky enough that we went to Crowdfunding Academy, so we had a whole team working with us and preparing us for this. So, like, all our gratitude goes to Giz and to Brodoto, Christina, Marco, Alexandra, so they all helped to make this campaign prepare us on one side and then be for us there while campaign was going. So, so yeah, we didn't pay anything, but we did had full support, so it was kind of win-win.
Great. Excellent, thank you. And maybe one additional question for you. What would be the key learnings that you took from the crowdfunding campaign, and what kind of tips or tricks would you highlight for the people who are thinking about making a campaign, maybe connected to design on Kickstarter? What would be like the main insight for them?
There is actually, you all can read a lot on Google, right, about do's and don'ts, like first 5 do's and don'ts. So I'm not going to focus on that. Key learning for us is that in the way of the audience is defined, really. We at some point in the campaign, we defined them as utility-minded or gadget-minded people. I mean, whether our audience was like creatively minded, right? So it's a bit of a disconnect between the two. So if you've noticed, there are probably like 58 campaigns on Kickstarter about bags that have, I don't know, 1,000 compartments for cameras and yeah. So ours is something completely different from that. And it definitely affected the conversion rates that we had. For example, from Facebook ads and so on. So that's a very good learning from me, because we kind of couldn't understand exactly what's happening, because we had a very good traffic coming from Facebook, and then less of a conversion when it comes to actual, buying or supporting. And then as we were doing a shooting for social media, one girl who was a painter and a model, she said, wow, like I love your product and so on. But I went to that Kickstarter and it's so convoluted and I couldn't understand anything, and like, what is that? What do they mean by all that and so on? So people who are not part of the crowd, of the Kickstarter crowd, actually in loads of cases do not understand what's happening there. And what does it mean to pledge, It's not like, okay, press this button, buy, and go to the shopping cart. It's not that. It's like you're pledging. So some even friends of ours, we have to really take by the hand through the process. What does it mean, like to pledge? Do they have to pledge and then wait? And that, so it's all a bit of a barrier for people coming first time there. So I think one of the key learnings is, like, if you're preparing a product, make sure that, first of all, Kickstarter crowd is going to get it. Yeah? Anyway, you cannot be sure. I think it cannot be bulletproof, but it's good to know to understand those people who are there. I think, for me, that was the key learning, really.
Okay, thank you. And what about you, Christina?
Well, in this particular campaign, in every campaign you learn something else. And I think in this one, since this product is basically in English, and it's in English because the goal was for it to also reach the global audience and also to reach some part of the world that it's not that easy to reach. And I don't think that we completely succeeded in that. And later on, I was thinking about why was that and what was necessary actually to do in order to reach the global audience. And my conclusion was that the equal amount of time that you invest in preparing the campaign in order to reach the local audience, you really need to invest the same amount of time and energy in reaching it somewhere else. And you really need to specifically target where that audience outside of your local community is and how are you going to reach it. And for example, if you have 5 people preparing the campaign in Belgrade, it would be useful also to have at least one person preparing the campaign in the same intensity somewhere else, but in that community, so to prepare this specific circle of people somewhere else. You don't really get to launch the campaign on Indiegogo, like Pascal said earlier, and expect for money to come flowing in from people from all over the world just because this is an international platform. You really need to kind of set the grounds where you are trying to reach them. Also, I think it's really important for people not to like be too crazy about their ideas in order not to see how people are, what people are actually saying about it. You know, it will be very useful for you to talk with people around you and see how they react to the product and would they be really willing to give you money for it. I definitely recommend it to everybody who's thinking about launching the campaign. And also, as Miller said, like this is not something, it's not impossible to do this by yourself. It's just important that you really do your homework and see what is really necessary and really do all the steps. You know, don't cross any step. And everything will be okay. It's not really that difficult to do it.
What I learned.
Yeah.
Okay. What I learned the same thing which I learned from my 20 years of experience in business, that the communication is actually the most important. How you will reply to your, I don't know, backers when they ask something, how fast you will reply, etc., etc. So that communication, at my opinion, is the most important what we learn from that Hexiver campaign. That's a good thing. A bad thing is that also I learned that, you know, the community, open source and everything, that doesn't kind of account, because even if you give them open source, even if you give them all the schematics and everything, they will continue to ask you something. So then the community, you know, what does, you know, why we have a open source if you will ask me something about that source. So that's the bad thing what I learned. So even if you give them everything, they will ask you, you know, as this is a company product. You know, if it is a company product, then it's a company. If it is open source, it's open source. So the community, the good thing is that we learned that the communication is the most important, and the bad thing is, this is Srđan Mišić. He do the Hexiver campaign.
Great.
Welcome. So that's what we learned actually from that campaign. That even open source, they will ask you as it is not.
So yeah, there's always a continuity in giving feedback to already developed product, right?
Yeah. I really expect if we give the open source, no one will ask anything us. So there is open source, ask each other. So that's community in my brain,
yeah.
But it's not like that.
That's very interesting. And what about Roda's case? What was from this last, My Rainbow Family, Moja Dugina obitelj, what was the key insight, maybe the most positive and the most negative thing came out from the campaign?
The most positive is do not underestimate your backers from an NGO perspective, because when we are going with the picture book, we were thinking, well, it was originally designed only for rainbow families in Croatia, which are like a subset of a smaller population. So it's LGBT parents with children, which are even a smaller group than an LGBT population in general in Croatia. But when we saw how much support did we get from the general public, it really surprised us, and it was really, really refreshing to see how many people wanted to support even such a small minority. So that was like a really surprise. But from a negative side, I don't think we had any negatives. I mean, it was really positive experience. I mean, maybe, what's negative? Well, we got some negative feedback from, you know, the conservative forces and whatever, but it also, when it all depends on how you take it and how you then present this to the outside, because that negative feedback that we received helped us to increase the positive feedback that we received, because we were, in that case also, we saw spikes every time somebody was talking bad about us in a positive way, that people contributed then to show that our support. So thanks for the hate.
Thank you. And Mario, what about you?
My lesson, well, I think definitely when doing crowdfunding campaign, it's essential, like not believing in luck, but really believing in preparation. And any step I missed to do, which was impossible to do them all because we were such a tiny team. There were only 2 of us. And that's like my biggest recommendation, to have at least 3 people in a team. So like for us it was impossible to cover everything. So yeah, we had gaps, and those gaps kind of, there was a moment when they would catch us, and that wasn't pleasant, but you deal with it. And even if you do your entire homework like a real nerd, there are going to be unpredictable things, and you just need to kind of be prepared for that. So I really believe like in preparation when it comes to crowdfunding. That's really essential thing. And also, yeah, of course, like having your community, creating it, and then remaining the communication and relationship you have is so essential for everything that comes in future. So it's like you shouldn't really forget who helped you to get where you did get. So like it's really, really important thing also. So yeah, and then just, I mean, kind of stepping outside and sharing with whatever are your values, an important thing, really brings people that you didn't expect. And that's kind of for me the magic of this project, because like really like the people I would never expect or I would never meet, like they would come to us and kind of show, to be like, okay, maybe like not in this phase, but in future we can do this and that. So it really like once when you kind of speak your mind and when you speak your soul, then just people, similar people to you really come and want to be part of the same idea. So that's a great thing.
Great. So thank you very much for your feedback. We still have a couple of minutes left. Please, we have a question.
Yes. Can you tell me how you get to your customers, how you get their emails and things like that? Did you make some open field promotions, or you're just putting money to Facebook and Instagram? And if you're just putting money to Facebook and Instagram, how much did you put? Thank you.
Who would like to give an answer to this question?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, please. Maybe all of you could just give a short. Just short. Okay, short reflection.
Okay, so basically in this campaign, we did invest some money in Facebook promotion, but we definitely didn't rely on that. What we did basically was this initial mathematics in crowdfunding campaigns that you do. So basically, if you know that you want to target a specific amount of money, let's say $10,000, and if you know, like statistics in crowdfunding says that usually people give donations in amount of $20 to $30, then you simply divide the total amount that you want to get by the by this amount of $20 to $30, let's say 25. And then you get the number of people that you actually need to get 100% funded. And if you, for example, know that you need 200 people, that you're first going to start from your local network and see that you need, do you have 200 people? If you don't have 200 people, then what you do is try to extend this network. And this is basically a simple rule how to reach at least 100% of the amount that you are targeting. And then if you want to go further, then if you have the money, you can invest in additional promotion and so on. So yeah, that's from my perspective.
Okay, thank you. Any other reflections on this? What kind of tactics did you use?
We used social media. We used Facebook, Instagram. Extensively in a preparation period. And then when we reached our goal after, let's say, 5 or 7 days, I don't remember exactly. And then we ran out of money. And then we were on autopilot for the rest of it. We had some help from a company called Evensis Partners, and they were really cool. They were really helpful. But they, again, did not fix the problem that we had. So the problem that we had was very intrinsic. It was very real, and it concerned the audiences, the mindset of the audiences. So, yeah, I don't remember exactly how much we used for those Facebook ads, but I think you can use unlimited amount of money. On Facebook, it's created in such a way, so it's like, you know, Las Vegas kind of mentality. When you come to that, yeah, just go there and bet on red, you know. But yeah, I mean, it's when you get into, there's something called positive loop. If you get into the positive loop and you get the sweet spot of your audience and so on, then you know you have something real, and then you can, you know, sell your house and buy Facebook ads and stuff like that.
And what about the
positive feedback loops? Yeah.
What about the others? So did you have a?
You know, try. You put some money, see the result. If you are happy, put more money. You just try. And use any possibility to have more marketing, you know. If you could do, I don't know, try anyone who could help you, who could kind of spread the word, you know, those things. Try.
Yes. Well, from my NGO perspective, so we don't have so much funding, so we cannot invest in Facebook ads or buy mailing lists that are pre-made. So we started from like our supporter base or like a membership base, because some of organizations have, I don't know, 100, 200 members, and then we would ask those members if they can share their emails, or if they know 5 or 10 people that would be interested. And in that way, we were building the mailing list before the campaign. So we tried to, as Christina explained, so we tried to hit, I don't know, a certain goal of 300, 400, 500 emails that we have in this list. And we were thinking somebody would back us. But also we were then going for the picture book, our Rainbow Family Association. When we started, we had like, I think, less than 500 likes on Facebook, which is nothing. And we couldn't also assume that Facebook would help us like organically. So we were identifying allies that have more than 10,000 or 20,000 likes, that were pages like maybe some corporations, other NGOs, other organizations that have like a larger membership base that would be interested in our cause also, and then ask them if they could share the info about our campaign. And that really helped us, because there are other NGOs that are much larger. For example, Roda has 50,000 likes on Facebook, and it has a larger reach in Croatia. So when they shared this link to the campaign, also our number of likes on our page rose, and people were looking what we were posting before, and people got more involved and so on. So if you're so small in the beginning, you just try to reach to somebody that's larger and then ask them for help, and people will. And we didn't have to pay anybody anything. We just asked if it's possible. If not, okay. But if you can help us, it would be really mean much to us. And well, people were willing to help, so it was positive.
Thank you.
Well, we had extremely limited resources, so we tried with Facebook and Instagram, it didn't work, and immediately we stopped it. But what did really help us when it comes to social media is like our supporters, when they would share and say, okay, look, there is this campaign, it's great, I supported it, then their friends would really trust them and be like, oh yeah, I like it, and somebody I trust supported. So that would really like draw us lots of support. Also some public, some famous people, like when they made a video, like we had a little campaign when they would like shoot a little video, post it on social media and invite people to support our project. So yeah, this also did help. And even like in some cases, kind of when we were like reaching the goal, then they would be like, oh yeah, they're so close, they only need, I don't know, 500 more or something. Then like some people would come back and maybe buy another perk. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Please, we have another question. Thank you. And another one?
I'm interested in data.
Can you please use the... Yeah,
okay. Yeah, I'm interested in data. I hope you remembered, after first 24 hours, number of backers and total amount of money that you secured.
Mm-hmm. So after first 24 hours, what was the amount, the percentage, and the number of backers? So can you please, do you remember? Can you make an estimate approximately? So the first 24 hours, how much money did you raise, and what was the number of backers securing that amount?
I don't remember exactly at this point.
Uh-huh.
I know we had a very sharp, like, upward curve, but what was that exactly, I really can't remember.
And it lasted for how many days?
Well, it lasted for well, around a week, I would say. Yeah. And until we burnt all our money.
So then it curved down again. And did you get?
No, it didn't curve down,
okay.
but it was like it slowed down.
Yeah, stagnated.
Yeah,
okay.
stagnated.
But
as it happens.
In that first period, you managed to get most of the funds, or at least half of it.
We were funded in, I think, 5 days or a week.
Okay.
So we
really
were good.
fast,
I mean, it was really interesting. In first, I think, 2 minutes or 5 minutes, we were sitting around computers, and suddenly there is somebody from Singapore backing it. That's that first rush that you get, like, whoa, somebody from Singapore, what is this? Right? That's a good thing about it.
Great. And what about you, Christina?
Well, we were definitely following the rule that says that you need to get funded at least 30% in the first day, but not just that, we were really forcing to have even more than 30% in the first day. I don't really remember what was like after the first 24 hours, but I know that by the end of the first week we had 50%. And we were slowly then, after this first week, accumulating enough money that helped us reach 100 by the end of campaign. Yeah. What was else the question?
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
What about you, Nebasha?
Actually, personally, I don't believe in rules.
Oh, okay.
So I suggest that you fight till the last minute. So as it is first minute. So, you never know when someone somewhere will publish something about this project. And why don't you be positive? So I don't remember, so this guy on the back, he knows probably better than me how many percentage we have for the first, I don't know, 1 day, but I believe it was pretty 45 degrees, and then just stops after some time. So.
Can I just, I have to add something regarding this specific rule. I would highly recommend to really follow this rule. Sometimes I also think that it's good to break the rules, but in this specific case, as far as my crowdfunding experience goes, every time that this rule wasn't followed, the campaign would be unsuccessful. And it has really been proven many times that after if you really manage to reach at least this percentage in first 24 hours, I mean, you are going to be successful. So follow this rule. Like, you don't have to follow each rule, but
she's a
consultant.
I am not. So.
But it has to do a lot. It has to do a lot with the human psychology, right?
Definitely. I mean, it's about this boom, this hype that happens when you get a lot of money in a very short period. It just starts, people start talking about it, and they get eager to see what is going on with this. The more fuss starts happening, and this is what you need. You need this promotion. And there is this graph showing like that most of the money you usually get in the beginning of the campaign and in the end of the campaign. So you really need to invest as much as you can in order to create this hype at the beginning, because it's very difficult to create it in the other days if you don't do it in the beginning. It's hard to even maintain it even if you manage to do it at the beginning, but it's even more difficult if you don't get it and then you try to reach it during the campaign.
Damir,
yes.
Let's just get some information from the source about HexUS statistics.
Oh, okay, thanks.
So I ran the Hexer campaign, and I can concur what everybody else said in that the initial 24-hour and 7-day periods were crucial for us as well. So it was about 50% or something, I think. Just because there was already a large platform, a large audience, a large crowd we had to bring to that campaign, so it helped a lot.
So maybe you wanted to break the rule, but you followed it unintentionally.
As I say, follow the rule.
And what about the others? Your experience in first day?
Well, for example, in 2016, Roda launched a campaign to lighten the load of Syrian mothers for baby wearing harnesses for refugee mothers with children. And I think in the first couple of days we reached 100% and we got over it. In first 2 hours, sorry. So, and then we had in 2016, we had a campaign for to finance the protest for better education in Croatia. So we launched the protest was supposed to happen on the 1st of June, and then we launched the campaign, I think, on the 28th or 29th. And also we reached in less than 24 hours the limit and we got over it. And for the picture book, for the Rainbow Families Association, so we were really afraid that we wouldn't reach the goal, and we, I think, set the goal kind of a bit low. And also in the first 24 hours we went over 100%. And then by the end, I think of a week, we went over 200%, and we really didn't care about the campaign until the end. So we didn't invest so much in the middle and in the end to get more money because we were happy with what we got. But I think that this only shows that we, with those campaigns, responded to some need in our perception is that we responded to some need that was in society at the moment, because at the moment of the refugee crisis, people wanted to help in some way for the refugee crisis. When we had this protest for education, people wanted to help in some way, and also with the picture book, people wanted to, because it was so popular in Croatia at the start of this year, people want to get a hold of their copy, and they found it. So it was also like feeling the moment and then responding in that moment to the need that's of your perceived target group.
And what about you, Maria?
What's the question again?
First 24 hours. How much money?
Yeah,
and how
48
many
hours. Yeah, we totally followed the rule. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, there was no exception. And when I say this preparation, it really, that's what it is about. It was not like some magic stick and some random people. No, these were people who we knew and who promised us they will pay in the next 48 hours. And that's when, like, when the thing goes hype, and then when you can expect maybe some random contributions, but you really need to prepare it for it to happen. You cannot just like make a video, put it on the platform, and be like, okay, let's try our luck. No, it's not gonna happen. Not to like be pessimistic, but it's just like this part of this deal of preparing for it.
Okay, thank you very much for the answers and for the discussion. We ran out of time. Thank you very much for fruitful questions, which really helped us to frame this discussion, and hopefully we'll continue it afterwards during the networking period. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. We're actually now going to have a break. We're going to change the program, have a half-an-hour break now, and then come back for the end of the program. Please remember, you can now pick up your evaluations. If you have to leave, this is a good opportunity to fill them in and pick up your lovely convention-branded materials that will keep you thinking about us throughout the year.